Another answer to another mystery has been provided, and a terrifying choice has been presented to Subaru. We have an absolute ton of cut lore this episode, so you should definitely stick around to hear what didn't make it into the episode. We start with Newbaru assuming that Reid is dead, because how could somebody live for 400 years? Oh. Well, anyway, Reid is a human, and they generally don't live for that long. Plus, it isn't in his personality to stay in the tower, so the tower's tricks must be at play. On their way to go look for the book, Newbaru asks everyone to step away so he can talk to Julius. Can you win against Reid? Seeing the unmistakable agitation in his gaze, Newbaru took a short breath. They don't have the time to mess around at the tower, which has a different meaning for Newbaru than it does to Julius, but even so, they feel the same sort of impatience. This Natsuki Subaru would do what the other Natsuki Subaru could not. That is that, and this is this. It's a declaration that while circumstances have changed, you can't spend all your time looking behind you. It's the ReZero equivalent of, it is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Did Julius lose before? Yeah, but it is what it is. Go fight him again. Go get turned into mulch one more time, bro. Just trust me, dog. He tells Julius that they will have to start their relationship from zero here, calling Julius the strongest person in the party, and he's sorry for what the past him did, but he needs him to focus up. Julius tells him that he's already lost to him twice. Cool story, bro. Just win next time. He tells him that he is simply missing the determination to not lose. He had seen it in the last loop. Julius held onto his sword, even in that desperate situation. As far as Newbaru's eyes are concerned, he had never seen Julius lose once. This night, this man had never once lost in front of this Natsuki Subaru. So no matter what anyone else might say, Natsuki Subaru wouldn't entrust this fight to anyone else. He can continue to expect Julius Jaculius to defeat Reid Astrea, but how? How can he have such high expectations of him if he had forgotten everything before today? Newbaru tells him it's his image, the impression he gives off, the way he looks and talks and carries himself. Whether Newbaru knew it or not, this served as the ultimate affirmation of Julius's identity that he felt he had lost. Someone who prides themselves on their accomplishments, someone who had learned how to exist in this world of knights, learning the etiquette, the manners, the way you carry yourself, the expectations of a knight. Newbaru affirms that he still has those. The items he has, the way he dresses, the elegant way that he eats and walks, the effect of everything that accumulates Julius Jaculius gives off the air of an accomplished knight. Julius lost his name, then his master, then his pride in the sword, but Newbaru tells him that he has not lost everything. That is that, and this is this. So Julius and Newbaru rejoin the party, and Emilia excitedly tells him that Meili had found Reid's Book of the Dead. Naturally, this freak volunteers to read it right away to keep damage to a minimum. His consciousness cuts away, but it's different. He had become familiar with what reading a Book of the Dead was like, and this wasn't it. A voice called out. A girl he had never seen before was standing in front of him. His instincts screamed at him. This was someone who had trampled on countless lives. As she informs him that this is the end of the line for souls. The cradle, Ode Laguna, the corridor of memories. She then introduces herself as Sin Archbishop of Gluttony, Reid Arneb. The fuck is a Sin Archbishop? Just in case you somehow forgot, this was the third gluttony that appeared at the end of Season 3 and basically blew Otto's legs apart. She seemingly took over Leibot and Kaitos' body, but anyway, Newbaru points out that she uses the royal we, asking if she's just trying to sound cool. She says there are far too many egos, and that she's a little fed up, but they're gifts from dear brother and brother dearest. Well, as an only child, Newbaru was a little jealous, but you know what? What if he isn't one? He reacts harshly to that proposition, and thinks that if he disappeared, his parents would keep searching until they found him. They wouldn't just start fucking to replace him. She cuts in, saying that he feels guilty about mom and dad, right? You regret being a bad son who couldn't even say goodbye to them. No, you've always regretted it. Now and before too, right? His breathing stopped and he froze as she hugged him from behind. Nobody understands you as well as we do, she mutters into his back. It's a twisted reframing of the experience between Newbaru and Meili last episode. Truthfully, there is nobody in this world who knows Meili as well as Newbaru does now, but rather than using it to manipulate her heart or to tear her identity apart, he used it to affirm her existence, to understand her struggles and empathize with her heart. A stark contrast from how Rui uses the burden of memories now. He throws her off, but she assures him he managed to get some resolution toward his parents, even if one-sided, and that it felt like a weight was lifted, at least on the surface. While saying that, she clawed at her left arm. It was painful to watch. This small scene is really fucking twisted. It's Rui drawing upon Subaru's suffering. She remarks that on the surface he's completely wholesome and nobody knows what he's feeling in his heart. This isn't Rui just trying to act creepy, though that's working. It's her bringing to the surface Subaru's self-harm that we learned about back in episode 10. Subaru does engage in self-harming behavior, and we learn that Bayako is the only one who knows about it. That it's something that Subaru still engages in, but it also serves as the first human connection that Newbaru has to Natsuki Subaru. He viewed him as this incomprehensible, murderous monster, so seeing that Subaru has the same struggles of self-harm and cutting his own wrists like that gave him a connection. Something that Rui takes advantage of and seemingly mocks him for, or at least is trying to poke at to get a rise out of him. We learn a little bit more about the place they're into. The cradle is the place that souls are filtered. Think of it this way. If you use a rag to clean something, it gets dirty, so you run it through the wash, getting the muck and grime off it so that you can use it again. Or at least that's what your mom does, because none of you guys actually do anything around the house. Ode Laguna and souls are the same. It purifies them in order to clean them and reuse them. There is a shit ton of lore that was cut from this conversation, so make sure to stick around if you want to hear more about the Sin Archbishops. Anyway, Newbaru finally just comes out and asks, "Are you the one who stole my memories from before today?" To which Rui confirms. Another mystery answered. A mystery that had no room to breathe because of the goddamn motherfucking opening and the promotional material for the season. I remember before Season 4 actually started, they did like a little event, and they showed off the Gluttony character designs for Season 4, just completely giving away the game. The most common response to me complaining about this is, well, Gluttony always takes memories, so it was kind of obvious. Yes, Gluttony does take memories, but did you see Gluttony the entire season? No, the fuck you didn't. If you count this scene here with Rem, well, that wasn't so obvious in the novels. It was just untagged dialogue from a mysterious person. No gigantic Rem billboard. Unfortunately, the anime left no room for speculation as to how Subaru lost his memories, and basically let you know why it happened by leaving them in the opening. Novel readers wondered about stuff like, well, how would Gluttony even get to the tower? Maybe there's another mechanism. Maybe it's different because Subaru didn't lose all of his memories. Gluttony in a book. Try and tell me that shit was obvious, bro. We cut away for a moment and see that an assault on the tower is beginning, thousands and thousands of witch beasts, which Julius and Charla rush to the defense, and Charla shows off her infinite hell snipe, which gets a really cool cut, but it's no use. They're still barging in. Cutting back to the cradle, Rui asks him a question nobody should be able to. How many tries did it take to get here? He fears the taboo, but she calms him. What happens in the corridor stays, so the scary witch won't do anything. He tells her this is try 5, and she's amazed, wanting to eat him until her stomach bursts. Pushing her to the ground, he pins her down and threatens to strangle her, but she calls his bluff. She doesn't just think he can't, she knows that he can't kill someone. He tried to build up his courage, but he couldn't do it. And besides, it's for the best. If he got his memories back, then the current him would die. His blood ran cold, and it confirms the thing mentioned in the previous episode video. There is potential that Newbaru regaining his memories as Subaru would overwrite the existence of Newbaru. For the first time, a true death condition exists for Natsuki Subaru. No restarts on the other end. It's something he knew in the back of his mind when he started on the quest to kill Natsuki Subaru and bring back Natsuki Subaru, but he had hope for some sort of miracle. A convenient blending of their two memories. It's uncharted territory, Rui tells him. They have never seen memories return. As she repeats the line that Newbaru heard while falling to his death in episode 8. Memories make the person. Besides, Natsuki Subaru doesn't seem like the greatest guy, she adds. She begins to emulate some of Subaru's memories, reciting how kind Subaru is for being willing to be with a half-elf, how great and self-serving he is for taking Beatrice out of the library, how entitled and self-gratifying he is towards Rem. There's an interesting quandary one must consider here. We know that Rui has her own aims, but we also know that Rui has Subaru's authentic, true memories and feelings. Where is the line drawn here? How much of what she is saying truly comes from deep within Subaru's subconscious? It's another way Arc 6 brings up subconscious or deeply buried thoughts. In episode 3, we see tensions boil with Ram and Subaru as they say things that might exist deep down even if they don't actually want to say or act on them. Ram and her distrust of Subaru over Rem, and Subaru's annoyance at Ram's attitude. The thoughts exist, but they aren't focused on nor voiced. We know that Season 1 Subaru did feel entitled to Amelia's love, so maybe some of that is true. Does Subaru feel that way about Beatrice, about Rem? It's an interesting thing to ponder, and is a great way that ReZero dives very, very deep into characters' minds. She asks him if he wants to give himself up for that Natsuki Subaru. She demanded a confession, an answer to an impossible question. Do you want to die or not? And if you do want to die, would you really die for someone like that? She grabbed his hand and put it to her neck. All he had to do was squeeze, and her slender neck would snap. Rui Arneb, the Archbishop of Gluttony, the loathsome being, the parent who created him, put the question to the Natsuki Subaru before her. He could feel something in his heart burning to a cinder. His humanity, his trust in himself, his feelings about Natsuki Subaru as a separate person, something was being scorched away. Natsuki Subaru had strangled Meili. What was he doing now? Everything in his body tensed. He had a short life. He had a short, meager life. Just 2 days, and he'd been shit at life. The me who made that promise with Ram, who swore to protect Meili, who seared Echidna's forgiveness into my heart, who spurred Julius on to fight, who believes Beatrice is so lovely, who fell in love with Amelia, that me would disappear. I don't want that, he mutters. Tears welling up in his eyes. The tears blurred his vision, which is when he saw it. Ripples in the water as someone approached. He thought it was the other Natsuki Subaru at first. Afraid and finally deciding to show himself, but Rui sees nobody. Who the hell is Natsuki Subaru talking to? A figure he didn't recognize, but she was smiling. A blue-haired girl he had never seen smile before was standing there. Why are you trying to choose just one? Stand up, she roared. And then roared again. Over and over, hammering Newbaru's heart. Why do I have to suffer like this? It hurts, it's painful, it's miserable, it's sad. My heart feels like it's going to break, having to suffer this sort of painful decision. The girl in front of him refused to accept his complaints, his stubborn conclusions, his heart cowering in fear of loss. She rejected it all. Stand up, Natsuki Subaru, my hero. His heart quivered as the tearful voice of a girl he couldn't remember yelled at him to be a hero, even as he wanted to laugh at such a stupid story. He stands up and she tells him to go save everything. Everything as in what? That's too vague. Everything is everything. Every single thing. Every single person, yourself, and even the stranger most familiar to you. What is this? Who can do that? Do you really think I can do that? I can't even save myself. I was about to let go of something just now. Do you really think I can? You can, after all. You're my hero. An unwavering greed coalesced within Newbaru, freeing him from the false dichotomy presented to him by Rui, freeing him from having to choose one life over another. I love this scene, relevantly called stand-up. It encompasses one of the last things that Newbaru was missing from Natsuki Subaru, which was the greed of his heroism. Think back all the way to Arc 2, when Ram was telling Subaru the story of the two Onis, and she asked him to choose between the two of them. He rejected the very premise, and picked both of them. This encompasses Natsuki Subaru's core. When presented with options, Subaru's idealism, his naivety, and his unchecked hero complex will refuse to see them as options. He will see it as a challenge. He will always save it all, and it does interesting things for the hero of Natsuki Subaru because it's a title that has caused him a lot of suffering. There's no reason to think that this won't cause him suffering as well. Subaru and Newbaru both have very similar answers on how to express their heroism, which is self-destruction, so with his greed, passion, and hero complex flamed by Rem, what exactly will happen? What did you think of this scene? How did you feel seeing Rem on screen again? Let me know in the comments below. With loathing in Rui's eyes, she cursed at him. Just one more step. It was so close. One more step and Natsuki Subaru would have been completely peeled away from Natsuki Subaru. You see, gluttony is unable to eat the same person twice. By driving the wedge between both versions of Subaru, Newbaru was on the verge of becoming a unique existence, and she would have been able to dine on his memories once more. But Newbaru's confused. What was the aim? Why do all this and steal people's memories? It's simple. Happiness. Happiness is the point of living. Life isn't fair, you know. You can't pick where you're born, your parents, your surroundings, your future. You can't control anything. They're all on a conveyor belt. What if it didn't have to be like that? What if you could pick? Everyone would choose a better life, wouldn't they? So, Rui is searching for the ultimate life for herself. A rosy future where they can feel proud of the life they have lived. A life that's just right for them. And until they encounter that life, they will eat and munch and gnaw and lick and devour. They've eaten young and old, men and women, people from every age, from all rungs of life, but the one thing they hadn't tasted was death. Natsuki Subaru was the only exception. It's rough, right? It's painful, right? It's hard, right? Newbaru cuts in. If you have his memories, then you should already know, but she bites back that it isn't fresh enough. She doesn't want reheated and reused ingredients. A never-before-experienced state of death is what she craves. Rui brings up some salient points, that life is unfair. Of course, we can all understand and accept that picking and choosing from other people's lives to craft your own is insanity. Much of the satisfaction of the life one constructs is the actual construction of it. It's an alien position disconnected from the human condition and a real lack of understanding of how feeling content with one's life is reached, but it also brings up an interesting question. Another contrast with Meili and Rui. Newbaru understands Meili's position. She's a killer, she has caused untold damage to people's lives, shit, Newbaru's life even. He is, however, understanding of her background, having experienced it firsthand. She didn't choose to become this way. She was simply a product of her environment. Well, what about Rui? What about the Gluttony siblings in general? We saw in Season 3 that Lei's body was covered in wounds and scars. What circumstances led them to the point that they're at now? They commit unforgivable evils, that much is true. Others would have the same perspective of the crimes Meili has committed. However, Subaru draws an arbitrary line between Sin Archbishops and other people. Newbaru isn't aware of this, of course. I'm talking about Subaru himself, but Subaru is against violence and needless death, but he drops those values the second a Sin Archbishop is involved. I'm not asserting he is incorrect in doing things like killing Pedalgees or Regulus, but he shows a clear contradiction in how he approaches those topics, and I find that interesting. And one is left to wonder, how at fault is Rui for feeling this way about her life considering that she hasn't had one? Newbaru rejects Rui. His pain, his death, his life, all of it is his. I hope you starve, dumbass. If the only thing you can choose in life is how you die, then that's what I recommend. You should suffer more than anyone else in the world. Rui slumped to the ground as Newbaru proclaims that his name is Natsuki Subaru. The name Natsuki Kenichi and Natsuki Naoko gave. He is him. Nothing more, nothing less. She tries to bring up the memory override again, but he stops her. That is that, and this is this after all. As Newbaru leaves, we flash back to Subaru and Rui's first encounter, seeing the circumstances of her eating him, not being able to understand how he's relatively unaffected, how he has memories of death and such, but being utterly amazed by him. She splits in two, and the episode ends. Newbaru has found new resolve in being a hero for the blue-haired girl, and chasing after his greed of not letting a single thing slip through his fingers, for an absolutely incredible episode. This episode was really, really good, ignoring the somewhat uneventful first quarter. The rest of it is just an incredible return to form for what is expected of ReZero, a series that does an amazing job with content that is just two characters talking to each other. The Rui and Newbaru talk takes up a vast majority of the episode, and it is just fantastic. Rui's voice actor really knocks it out of the park, playing such a twisted and contradictory character. She's so off-putting, violent, and disturbed, while also having such an unassuming presence from the outside. The way she talks, the things she does, the nasty things she says, all feel so incredibly well executed from the novels. The small cutaway is also cool. I think that most of this is anime original, I could be wrong. Charlotte's infinite hell snipe is really cool and fucking insane. I love the part with Lei coming out from behind the vines of the green room before talking like Rem. Very ominous and disturbing. I love how the gluttonies are portrayed in this episode. Stand up is obviously the stand out, haha, but seriously, it moved me like a motherfucker. If you know me, you know I'm also not one who cries immediately or anything like this, and this episode is no exception, but I felt it, man. Newbaru's hopelessness and despair in the face of someone saved by Subaru, it just hits so good, and I really, really loved that drum breakdown. Oh my god, man. I got insane fucking chills when the music really kicked in while Rem was telling him to stand up. It's a fantastic scene. This episode has a pretty clever rearrangement from Volume 25, if you know, you know. And this is also our first proper extended episode of the season, an episode that runs beyond the standard time slot length, and it paid off big time. Lot of room to breathe, wonderful execution of tense dialogue-focused scenes, with good content rearrangements and original inclusions. Just an all-around great episode. I give this episode a 9 out of 10. The first cut of the episode comes when they are going to look for Reid's book. Understandably, the party is apprehensive about how many books they would have to search through, but Newbaru infers that it must be possible since he most likely lost his memories reading a book. Subaru probably had the same idea. He also thinks that while Reid is the priority, if he has time he would like to find Elsa's book for Meili as well. Newbaru asks a bit more about Reid, to which the party informs him of some of the details. Reid, Flugel, and Volcanica sealed the Witch of Envy. Reid has also felled 100 dragons, which are some of the most powerful beings in the Rezio universe, and he has a 6,000 record at the Gladiator Island in Wallachia, the place that Aldebaran says he's from. Reid also beat a demon god in a drinking competition, whatever the fuck that means. When Meili finds Reid's book, Newbaru feels a bit bad about progressing the main quest and putting the side quest aside, but Meili intuits what he's thinking and tells him not to worry about it. When talking to Rui, Newbaru actually asks a few more questions and gets quite a few more answers. He asks about the witch cult, to which Rui says that it is connected to the Witch of Envy, and that they are like her worshippers. He asks if there are 6 more like her, so she starts counting. If you count Dear Brother and Brother Dearest, it would be exactly 6. Oh, but it actually went down by 2 recently, so maybe 4. 2 of them could just die already. From the sounds of it, there's not much camaraderie, he says, and Rui tells him that they're all the same as the witch, but she's even nastier than them, so they don't want to be lumped in with her. He learns that the witch and the Sin Archbishops are different titles, but ultimately the same thing. Good-for-nothings that happen to be compatible with their respective witch factors, so that is explicit confirmation that witches and Sin Archbishops are the same things, more or less, just with a different name. When Newbaru thinks of Ode Laguna as a nasty god, Rui tells him that it isn't a god. It doesn't have any special thoughts or ideas, it's just a mechanism. A mechanism so that the world doesn't break. Witch factors, divine protections, the Sword Saint, the witch, it doesn't see any of that. It doesn't care at all. Everything is equal and fair and unbiased. Right before stand-up, Newbaru is quite a bit more distressed. This is visualized as his body quite literally beginning to crack apart. Fissures spread along his arms and legs, and his cheek fell to the floor. The fake shell of Natsuki Subaru that he'd been wearing, the facade he had been putting up peeled away, and later on it also accelerates, and it's described that Natsuki Subaru breaks free from the shell of Natsuki Subaru. After Rem disappears, Newbaru thinks that this wasn't the place. This isn't the place he should reunite with her. No, that's not right either. The one who should reunite with her is the Natsuki Subaru who has regained his memories of her, his feelings for her. And there's no reason to distinguish between the other Natsuki Subaru and this Natsuki Subaru. He thinks back to all the times people told him that memories are not, he's the same and says, even though I was told time and time again, they told me, even without my memory, I'm still Subaru. His need to distinguish, to separate, to delineate, to differentiate, that was his burden, and the curse tying him down. During the flashback, if you can call it that, to Rui eating Subaru, there's a small section where, quote, her repertoire was expanding, including a vocabulary she should not have possibly known. It was a paradox, an emergency caused by a paradox. Schrodinger's Maxwell's Einstein was Nikola Tesla. Her mind exploded with otherworldly knowledge. There is some other stuff cut from this section with Subaru and Rui. I'm mentioning Subaru, not Newbaru. But it's very possible that because this section was shuffled, that it can come back up later, so I'm going to put a pin in that for now, and we can come back to it in a future video. The final cut is a really big one, but also, it is something that could be reintegrated in the near future, so please stop watching here if you want to just go in completely blind in the near future. That sequence of a light at Newbaru's chest is a lot more explicit in the novels. Something fell with a thud in his chest. A dark, stagnant thing. As if it was purified by her voice that sounded almost like a confession of love. No, it wasn't like one. That's what it was. Purified by her words, the dark, stagnant thing started to glow and change shape. There was a pulse inside Natsuki Subaru, at his most covetous core. It pulsated. It lost everything, was left behind by everything, but even so, it wanted to hold everything down, not wanting to let a single thing slip from his fingers, not wanting to let go even of himself. As he begged for that, his cowardly greed blossomed into the strength to fulfill that wish. That fickle factor connected with his being. He says to himself, "Come, Corleonis." The seed of greed that had lost its place blossomed inside Newbaru, and as it took a more defined form, The blue-haired girl's smile alone celebrated that moment. So, quite explicitly, Newbaru's greed factor has been activated, meaning he now has gained some power of greed. What it is, we don't know, but the novels are quite explicit with it. Corleonis is, of course, Latin for the lion's heart, a reference to the constellation of Leo the Lion, in which his power originates considering that it came from Regulus, a star that exists in that constellation. That will be about everything covered in this episode that I find appropriate to talk about anyways, and we can touch on the rest in the future if it comes down to it. I hope you all enjoyed this episode as much as me, and are looking forward to Newbaru taking on the challenges of the tower as a new man. As a reminder, Jordan and I will be live on YouTube here in a few hours after this video is live to talk about the episode, so be sure to swing by if you want more ReZero. Thank you so much for watching, and see you all next week. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe for more. You can also check the description down below to become a member, which gives you benefits like early videos, membership badges, and cool custom emotes. You can join the Discord where we talk about ReZero, Kagurabachi, Jujutsu Kaisen, and all kind of stuff. Additionally, you can go to the channel store and pick up some awesome stickers made by our channel artist, so you can carry the power of Graphia with you on your water bottle. That's about it though. Thank you for watching. See ya.